West, of course. They've been hard hit already. I think they can take it in their strides, try to reorganize themselves as quickly as possible. The rate you just mentioned is a bit frightening. You know, we are complaining about ours here in Ghana, which is hovering around, I think, 14% before the NDC came to power. You know, we left it around 8.5 before we left. So if they're sitting about 32%, that's a serious matter. I mean, it could pose very serious national security issues for them. With their history of homophobia and all that already, I mean, fresh in our minds, not too long ago. They are not so receptive to foreigners, you know, in their job markets. Now that the rates have increased, you know, towards over 30%, I think it's a bit worrying. And, you know, we are just hoping and praying that the government is able to put in certain measures as quickly as possible to avert any of those things, you know, recurring with regards to, you know, those xenophobic activities we might have seen, you know, in the past with them. So yeah, generally this would be my initial comments. No one should be surprised. He promised it, and he's doing exactly that. The rest of the world should brace up and reorganize ourselves.
Yeah. Dr. Shitu, I was trying to make the point. If you look at the tensions that have you know, erupted between South Africa and the United States over the last few months, and I would even date it back to when South Africa decided to take Israel to the International Criminal Court for that genocidal attack on, you know, the people of Palestine in Gaza. And we all know the relationship that the United States has with Israel. So I am trying to connect the dots, and if you see what is happening also allegedly with how white South Africans who own lands, in quote, you know, their lands are being taken away from them and given to the black people, and how, and I mean, the position of Donald Trump on that, fueled by no other person than Elon Musk. You look at these issues and you may want to agree that perhaps it has some connection with the percentage of tariff that has been imposed on them. Do you agree?
Well, certainly, there's every ground to think in that direction. So in short, one can put whatever is happening now, you know, rooted in internal and external, you know, issues. Internal is the aspect of white minority complaints about land that you talked about. And we know his relationship with Elon Musk and whatever position, you know, he took as far as, you know, that is concerned. So it's quite obvious that whatever tariffs that is being visited on, you know, South Africa today can be connected to that. Of course, as far as the international scene is also concerned, the position of the South African government as far as ICC, you know, matters are concerned, as far as Gaza, you know, alleged Gaza genocide, relation between Palestine and Israel, etc., are concerned. Of course, the position taken by South Africa was a brave one, and one would expect that America would definitely oppose it. But certainly, those who knew Mr. Trump actually expressed fears before his elections. We must be honest. Even though some seems to be expressing some surprises now, because he's actually gone beyond certain areas that nobody even thought of. But he has actually left nobody untouched. Including most of the, you know, allies of the US, Europe, Canada, etc. He's not left them. So that is the extent to which Mr. Trump is killing multilateralism. That to the extent that US has helped in shaping the global order, and it has been seen as a leader to shape the global space for peace and security. The same US is the one destroying the structure. If you look at the genesis of BRICS, Britain, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, it is because of the attitude of America when it comes to some of these global issues. Dating back to the war in Kosovo, in Iraq, in Afghanistan. Sometimes the UN does not build the needed consensus before it set out on some of these adventures. As a result, these 5 countries came together and said, look, we need to rethink particularly the finance architecture of the world. That's the genesis of BRICS. Today, we have been talking of BRICS Plus.
Yeah.
There are 10 strategic countries, 10 countries that are considered as strategic partners. Eventually, these 10 are going to join and to become like 15. And if you look at the GDP of this 15 country, it takes about 45. I even wrote a short article on this when they last met in Brazil, right? So basically, sometimes the attitude of the US on the global stage is killing that togetherness the world needs in order to fight common global challenge, including poverty, disease, climate change, and so on and so forth. Even funding for the UN. I remember by 2017, thereabout, my last days in Liberia, we're already having we're being thought of a philosophy that we should achieve more with little, because Mr. Trump was playing politics with the contribution of the US. So yes, whatever is happening today, have already been predicted by some people. Unfortunately, the way it is happening is catching many countries by surprise.
Yeah.
You are even taking off 30,000 jobs at risk. In fact, the South African Reserve Bank is talking about 100,000. Already, unemployment in South Africa is about 30%. So he's simply going to worsen the situation.
Yeah.
But what this is telling the world is that individual countries must begin to build resilient economies. Because all Mr. Trump is telling us is that he thinks that on his own, America can live without anybody.
Yeah.
And I think that that is not good enough, but you never know. No country has what it takes to involve in another country's internal matters. It is the duty of Americans to elect whoever they want to elect. And once that fellow is elected, assume the reins of office, has the constitutional backing, and conducts himself in whatever way he wants, what can we do? So all we can say is that, well, we must start building the necessary resilience for our individual economies so that we can withstand some of these shocks in order to avoid being taken by surprise. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. You two can be a part of this conversation. Your thoughts are very important. Let me know what they are, your position on these matters. We should be streaming live on Facebook and, of course, on YouTube as well. Let's proceed to other conversations. We come to Ghana. There are a lot of issues of our own. We understand that there's going to be a 20% hike in fuel prices, something yes, in transport prices, I beg your pardon, fuel prices 20% there. that would be a lot. Yes. And so once we return from this short breather, we'd get into that and what the position of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union is on this particular matter. Do stay.
Hello, Madam Bola. How are you and how is Lagos?
Kwame, Lagos Deo. How is Accra?
Accra is fine. We can't complain. Are my fabrics on the way?
Yes, I hope my money is also on the way.
As we speak, my accountant is sending money to you and others at GCB.
Money joins.
That is a lifesaver.
Yeah, Lady D. What's up, baby?
Tia, I got the money.
Oh, that's beautiful. It was fast.
Oh, and guess what? It was so easy and faster than I thought.
I'm busy right now. Let me call you back later, yeah? All right. Love you, baby.
See you soon. Bye.
From country to country, make seamless transactions across Africa with GCB. For more information on parts and how to get started, call toll-free on 0800 422 422.
GCB, your bank for life.
Right, welcome back. Now, the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, that's the GPRTU of the Trade Union Congress, they have disassociated themselves from a recent announcement by the Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council, that is the GRTCCC, regarding a 20% increase in public transport fares, set to take effect tomorrow. No, not tomorrow, I think on Friday, yes, so August 8th. That is supposed to take effect on August 8th. Now, the public relations officer of the GPRTU, Samuel Amwa, has expressed surprise at the unilateral, that means it was a sole motor decision taken by the GRTCC, stating that the union was neither consulted nor informed prior to the announcement. Yes, we've seen the release from GRTCC talking about the increasing transport fares by 20% this Friday. When we saw the communique, we were a bit surprised because we have no idea about this very increment. He explained that adjustments to transport fares are typically made after consultations between the GPRTU, the GRTCC, and the Ministry of Transport, culminating in a joint agreement and public communication. What we normally do is that anytime there has to be an increment, the GPRTU, the GRTCC, and the Transport Ministry will all come up with a joint statement. This has been the norm and what we've been practicing for all this while. So this time around, when we saw this communique, we were a bit surprised, he added. But my question is, the GPRTU is disassociating itself from this. What does that mean? Does it mean that we are not going to see the 20% increase? Who is in charge to make this implementation effective, or to implement it that, okay, today onwards, or from today, Friday, the 8th of August, transport fares have been increased by some 20%. And so if you are paying 20 cedis from Medina to Kaswa, you are now going to pay 24 cedis per that 20%. I mean, the GPRT is saying that no, we have this. So who implements that? Is it the job of the GRTCC to implement it? Can they take a sole motor decision, a unilateral decision, without consulting the Transport Ministry and the GPRTU? Let me find out from you.
Well, clearly there's a problem. Like you mentioned, before any such announcements regarding the increment of fares would come out, there are a few, bodies that come together to take the final decision, knowing very well the implications on the economy. And a lot of things are taken into consideration. I don't know if it's a PRO of the GRTC or whatever it's called. I think I heard him yesterday, and most of the things he was stating as justification for what they're about to do were a bit, ridiculous, if you ask me. I mean, we stated the whole of last year, there were no increments in fares. But last year, fuel was selling around 16. Currently, as we speak, it's hovering around 12. I think maximum will be around 12.5, 13. So there's absolutely no justification whatsoever. I think he also mentioned, the 1 CD on each liter of fuel. The 20% they are trying to bring on board. Reason being very simple. You took something at 16, it is now down to 12, even with the addition of the 1 CD. Not even in percentage terms. 1 CD is a fixed amount. Added to, we are still hovering around 12, which is way better than it was at 16, when they never even bothered to increase, the fares and all that. So there's absolutely, regarding even the figures alone, there's no justification whatsoever. They've also mentioned that they are the ones who, of course, carriage. They cut goods from farms and various places, to various market areas. And that they are doing it with a decrease in the fares, but they are not seeing it reflect on the reduction of goods in the market. That's also one of the reasons they are stating, for wanting to do the increase. And also that when the one CD was being put on a liter, they were not consulted. You remember that 1 CD, on a liter the execution was stayed. I believe because of the issues with Israel and Iran at the time. So the uncertainty around the time, informed us still of executing the 1 cedi per litre. And that when it was going to be, reinstated and then properly executed, they were not, consulted. But I think that again is, quite laughable. And I mean, these cannot be very, very sound reasons for wanting to do what they're about to do. And so generally the figures does not support what they intend to do. That's one. The other general reasons also, I think there was an indication sometime last week with regards to spare part dealers. They gave an indication that, prices of their wares will be seeing some, fair drop. And then hopefully it should reflect as soon as possible. So all these things put together, I think there's absolutely no justification. They are acting in bad faith, if you ask me. You have a mother union who is always part of the consultations, to adjust, fares, whether we are going to reduce it or increase them. There's always that consultative, forum that they go with the ministry and the GPRTU, the GRTC themselves. I think sidelining all these people and then coming out, with a so moto decision, I mean, very natural in every sense of it, as you can see it. Doesn't work out well for us. And I think the earlier we are able to deal with some of these, issues head on, the better it will be for us. COPEC has given indication that they intend to take certain actions against what's about to happen right now. On all fours, it is incorrect, it is wrong. If there are avenues that we could exploit, to, one, stop them. Because, generally, in the commercial vehicle space, for those who are able to, patronize them, most often the feeling is that sometimes even when fares are announced, after all the consultation, there are some rogue, elements within those unions, the GPRT and the rest, who, on their own decide whether they are going to abide by the new fares or not. So some will remain with the old fares at their own discretion. Whenever they feel like it, they will adjust it and all that. I think that sector in itself must be relooked at. GPRTU must relook at their structure and then people they admit into the union. Unions are guided by laws, and laws will require that you behave in a certain manner. If consultations will go on for fares to be set at a certain, rate or price, and then for your union members to decide whether they are going to abide by it or not, I think that's very problematic. So the GPRTU itself, with its oversight responsibilities, I think should, can do better and should do better. If they have a problem with the structure currently, they should adjust it and let their members know that flouting such, directives may come with certain consequences. Indeed, should come with certain consequences, because people cannot be allowed to behave in any manner they, just wish, just like that, for the sake of it. We are not in a rogue, society. We are governed by laws, and these laws must be strictly adhered to if we want to make any progress at all. So, in a nutshell, there's no justification for what they're about to do. They are in the wrong. Indications have been given by COPEC and I think some other bodies to, if possible, and there are legal remedies that could be taken against them, why not? If they could also be somewhat forced to stay whatever they're about to execute on the set date. I think any avenue, available to the government or the state should be deployed to stay this kind of rogue behavior, if you ask me.
I'll stay with you, Holali. We are seeing a general improvement in the economy. You understand? Fuel prices are down. Even despite the fact that there's a 1%, there's a 1 cedi on a levy on a liter of fuel. But comparatively to the price at which we bought fuel in January even of this year, it's a different story altogether. You understand? We are seeing some improvement. The dollar is down. Of course, that improvement is supposed to trickle down to the average Ghanaian. Now, the justification, one of the justifications that they have given is the cost of spare parts as a result of the condition of our roads, of course. You understand? So spare parts are still high, despite the fact that fuel prices are down and the dollar is doing well on the international market. And these spare parts, dealers go out there to go and purchase the spare parts. When the dollar is high, they increase it, and the justification is that, oh, the dollar is high, and so, of course. But this time around, we've seen some improvement. Why are we unable to see a direct impact of the appreciation of the cedi as compared to the dollar in the lives of the average Ghanaian? Because if the dollar is coming down, it means that now when I go to Abuso to buy my shocks or any other car part, the price should be down. But it is still where it is. In some cases, it's even gone up, and there's no pricing control. Like, why should that be?
I think basically that's where the challenge is, because we do not have a price control regime. And of course, we are in a democracy. We operate a very free market, more of a laissez-faire.
Yeah.
Do as you please. So people get to set prices, depending on whatever they claim, the costs of their investments. That's unfortunate. And I think structurally, our economy must experience, for me, I prefer, a very quick shift in paradigm. Like, we've been going this way for a very long time.
Yeah.
We are not seeing, the results as they should be. I do not think lamentations, would do it at all. We must be deliberate in our efforts. You have the Bank of Ghana receiving forex, setting the rates for the cedi at 10. And then we are told commercial banks go for these, forex. And then for whatever reason, whether they are hoarding it or whatever reasons, you go to the commercial banks and you do not get the forex. You would have to go to Abochi.
Yeah.
Abochi doesn't mint money.
Yeah.
Abochi is not a central bank. Abochi can't have custody of forex unless someone gives it to Abochi. Until we cut that line, we are going to be where we are. Because it's possible that people would rush in when the rates are low, of course. It was hovering around 10. So there could be a rush in to purchase a lot of forex, not necessarily to go and do business. But some people, that's why, I was very excited when the Bank of Ghana governor came out to say that the bank is going to take seriously supervision of the commercial banks regarding forex. Because you can't come for forex. The expectation is that businesses would come to you, take that forex at the rate that has been given.
Yes.
So that goods could be brought in, because Ghana is an import-based country. Indeed, I believe when we get to the cocoa issue, this would feature very prominently, so that our imports, would receive some relief. Lower rates when they come into the country. It must also reflect, as to the time, frame and all that. Yes, we can have discussions about them. Some will tell you they have old stock and all that. But the point still remains that the rates are now very fair. The cedi is doing very, very well, regaining its strength against all the major foreign currencies. And that's a fact. As to why it is not directly reflecting, and I'm saying that till we are able to block certain things, we may not be able to immediately establish, a price control regime. That would be a mission impossible, regarding the current times in which we find ourselves. But to a certain regard, indeed, most of our activities in the markets are regulated. They have unions and all that. We could have further discussion with these unions. Talk to your people. I have said time without number. To be honest with you, I do not know the purpose the Exim Bank is serving currently for the country. Exim Bank is supposed to be export and import. If the commercial banks are going to give us problems when we give them forex, why don't we just deal directly with the Exim Bank and have all our importers or exporters lodge their accounts there, so that whenever they require forex to do their transactions outside the country, the Bank of Ghana deals directly with the Exim Bank, and then we are all free to go. Because the complaints are becoming too much, because for a whole month we are told that they couldn't access forex with the commercial banks. Now, whether that's true or not, I mean, you can't, verify all at a time. Bank of Ghana will do its own, investigations into it. For me, any commercial bank found culpable, should be dealt with, because Abochi cannot be holding dollars while the Bank of Ghana is setting rates. It does not make sense. It is not supposed to be part of our economic structure. That line must be cut as soon as possible. Forex must be available at the rates the Bank of Ghana has set it to people who need it to bring in goods, because Ghana depends so much on imports. Government cannot be breaking its back and be doing the right things, making the right calls, setting the right policies, yet we are not having the effect trickle down to the average Ghanaian. And that's a serious problem. So for me, Guta, all of them who are involved in the space, the commercial banks, the Bank of Ghana, the Ministry of Finance, it's about time. We know where the issues are. Let's handle them, head on, just like that. It is difficult to go tell someone in the markets that do this to your prices or do that to your prices and all that. But once we have things reflecting at a certain level, and indeed it's one of the justifications the GTRC whatever are setting, that they go cut goods from villages to marketplaces, and they know how much they charge these market women for bringing those goods to the markets for them. But the price still remains. Indeed, in some cases, some of them are even recording very, very high increases, and indirectly or directly it will affect them too, because we have reduced our fares to reflect in the carriage so that you can bring your goods at a certain rate. But it is not reflecting in your, sales in the market. You have decided not to even drop anything at all. In some cases, you are, sending it up further. I'm saying that we will, at a certain point, need a certain balance. We can't allow things to continue to go like this. There have been calls on several locations, and I think we need to now go beyond the calls. If we have to, bring in a few legislations, I think it will be fair. Not to mean that we impose, a price control regime. Far from that. But at least something that gives everybody a clear view, a clear picture of what's happening in the country and in which direction we should all be headed. We have market queens, we have, market unions and all that. We should deal with them. Let them have their members understand that this is the way the country is going. The government cannot be breaking its back, and the citizens will not be feeling the effects.
Right, thank you very much. Dr. Shitu, I'm also looking at this transportation issue and our general problem, and the general problem that we have with transportation in the country. It appears that our only resort is by route, and the roads too. Yes, our only resort is this one is by road. The railways, I know it comes at huge cost, but if we can just break our backs and then just do it, of course, it would. You agree that it would solve a lot of these problems, where it appears that some people have monopoly over decision making, that they can just get up and then decide that, okay, because of so and so reasons, we are, increasing transport fares. Let me hear from you, sir.
Well, I think you are quite right. But is it only our inability to build railways, or even the destruction of public service transport? Where are the OSES, the Tata buses, and so on and so forth? We've killed all those. But let's first take the fact that with this happening, it simply suggests that we're still building a young free market. Yes, we still want to go by way of democracy, free market enterprise, and so on and so forth. Of course, the space is still so liberal that individuals can just get up and do whatever they want to do and take the country to a ransom. And I think we need to possibly find ways to address them. And I think there's justification for both moral and regulatory appeals. Now, we know that some way, somehow, whenever the transport operators want to increase fares, largely based on fuel increments, which is so regular. Some other instances, spare parts and what have you. But they normally hold a meeting and then they build a consensus. In the current instance, I don't think it has happened. And I believe I heard, you see Mr. Alhaji Abbas? Alhaji Abbas is the secretary to GPRTU. I heard him granting interview yesterday. And at a point, he was even suggesting that there are political undertones to whatever is coming from, And I think we should not even go up to that extent. That if you have other entities within the whole transportation setup, why would you, a subsector, just get up, issue a statement that you are going to increase transport by Thursday? It simply means that you are not even respecting, the interest of the collective. You are not respecting the interest of the other members who are also, participating in the whole transport, And what were the reasons that were given? They said spare parts. But if we are to look at this issue of spare parts connected to bad roads, whilst fuel can be said to be bought on daily basis, do we buy spare parts on daily basis? No. Yes, we admit our roads are not in good shape. But are we saying that for every day that we drive on these roads, we come and replace broken parts in our vehicles? Certainly not. And that's the moral angle that I'm trying to build. That look, let's be sincere to ourselves. There are clear indications that certain positives are happening in the economy, which nobody can deny. Is it the declining inflation that you want to deny? Is it the stability of the city that you want to deny? Even the interest rates for businesses is coming down. Yes, the extent to which these are impacting on the macroeconomic setup somehow is not as smooth as we want. But then, even the also kind that they are blaming that they've not reduced prices. There are cases that they've actually reduced prices in some goods, right? But we would have wished that it cuts across, okay? To the extent that that has not been done, we just still have to continue advocating to do. We know, we had even the trade minister is engaging certain people in certain industries, including the cement and so on and so forth. Yes, so to some extent, some of these things will eventually take shape, but maybe not as fast as we're looking for. On their own, you say, oh, we want to increase this because of that. If you say because of spare parts, you don't buy spare parts on daily basis. If it is fuel, that can be justified. But for spare parts, we beg. What were the other reasons that they mentioned? So
the 1%, the 1 CD less.